Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sophie. I have a doctorate in literature, which means I get overly emotionally invested in the shows that I'm watching. So if you're looking for a reactor that likes to talk about symbolism, themes, and character development, then you're definitely in the right place. So why don't you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video? Today, we're reacting to episode 4 of Monster. And yeah, episode 3. We have the monster who is coming. I think the monster is Johan because coincidentally, just after the two doctors and the director died, Johan and his twin disappeared. Very sus. And Tenma instantly became a suspect and is still a suspect even 9 years later as chief of surgery because he has benefited so greatly from their deaths that it seems odd to not consider him a suspect still. But there is a serial killer on the loose that is killing middle-aged couples who are quite affluent, and they're chalking it up initially to being a robbery, but there's too much of a pattern, so they're obviously connecting the dots, and then they're looking at the locksmith. But the locksmith has obviously stumbled on something, seen something, because he was being chased, got hit by a car, and has now told Tenma after his operation that a monster is coming. So we're going to get into episode 4 and hopefully learn a little bit more about what is happening and potentially where the twins have gone.
過去2年間に起きた4件の中年夫婦殺人事件、そのうち3件の現場近くでお前は目撃されてるんだがね。どうなんだ、アドルフ・ユンケルス。お前が錠前破りだということは分かっている。お前の仕事はただ鍵を開けることだけだ。ということは、お前以外に複数の実行犯がいたことになる。
I think it's one
私の考えで
person.
は最低3人必要だ。厳重な鍵を開け、中年夫婦2人を
No, I think it's one
無抵抗の状態で
person.
殺害するためにはな。何のためにドイツ全州にまたがり4件もの、それも子供のない中年夫婦ばかりを殺害したのか。金品は盗まれていたが、あんな少額を3人で分けたのでは、この犯罪は割に合わない。
Because it's not a robbery, it's just to throw you off. He's
お前たち
traumatized.
にこの仕事を
What
依
has
頼
he
したのは
seen?
誰だ。
He's petrified. He's acting like Johan's twin sister did.
ユンケルスさん、もういい、もういいんだ。
いや、もう一絞りだ。
出て行ってください。主治医の命令です。
He's not in a position
日を
to
改めましょう。
answer any
た
more
だし、
questions.
毒殺されたり失踪したりしないよう、見張りはしっかりとつけさせてもらいますよ。
Make sure he doesn't get poisoned or
あなたの周り
disappeared.
ではなぜか偶然いろんなトラブルが起きるようですから。
何が言いたいんですか。
Rude?
ですよ。では、
No, you're not kidding though. He's just letting Tenma know that he still suspects his involvement.
ああ、ほら、どこへ行く。
散歩ですよ。
勝手な真似をされては困ります。
患者だって気晴らしが必要なんです。庭に出るだけですよ。暖かくて気持ちのいい日だな。
Can't have been that worried. He didn't go with them.
こういう日は本当に生きててよかったと思うよ。たまにはこういう時がないとやりきれなくなるんだ。毎日毎日人の生き死にを目の前にしているとね。だから医者は出世や自分の研究のことだけ考えている方が楽なのさ。私も以前はそうだった。でもある男の子の手術がきっかけで
Now he's found new purpose.
双子の兄弟のお兄ちゃんでね。頭部を銃撃されたその子を助けることで私は医者の本部に立ち返ることができたんだ。人の命の重さはみんな一緒だ。医者はその命を助けるのが仕事だって。
I wonder if he's gonna change his mind though, if he learns that Johan is the one killing people.
人間はやり直せる。今
Will he still believe that all lives are created equal, or is he gonna have a ethical dilemma? Because I think Johan is absolutely the person killing those middle-aged couples.
あんまり年違わないけど、俺の親みたいな感じがする。
いきなりでかい
He's
子供がで
wise
きたんだ
beyond his years.
俺、子供の時欲しかったんだ。 からくり時計。こうちょうど時刻になるとぴょこぴょこくるみ割り人形が飛び出してくるやつ。
That's cute.
毎日毎日それが欲しくて時計屋のショーウィンドウに顔をひっつけてた。
Oh.
その時はすぐに捕まって時計は手に入らなかった。でもそれから錠前破りが俺の仕事になった。最初はあの時計が欲しかっただけなん
I
だ。
think I got confused. When they said lockpicker, I thought, oh, he's a locksmith. But no, like he was a contracted lockpicker for like thieves. I think that's where my confusion came in. I was like, oh, he picks locks. He's a locksmith.
普通に全部話して一からやり直すんだ。
It's never too late.
殺された。
What has he seen?
仲間全部殺されたんだ。
Oh, his associates.
君の言っていたモンスターにか。
今日こそしっかり者にしろよ。俺がせっかくセッティングしたんだからな。州議会議員の娘だぜ。彩色兼備ってのはああいうのを言うんだな。
He's so obsessed with him getting with a girl. Like, damn. Focus on your own love life.
そうだろう。お前ほどの地位にいながら女房がいないようじゃ。おい。
Cuckoo clock. He's gonna get him one, isn't he?
ちょうど時刻になるとぴょこぴょこくるみ割り人形が飛び出してくるやつ。
すいません、このショーウィンドウの。
おい、なんだよ。もう待ち合わせの時間だぞ。おい。
He doesn't care. He's focusing on the patient.
人間はやり直せる。今からでも遅くない。
He's gonna get him the clock as an indication that he can start his life over. Oh, what if he arrives and it's too late?
おまわ
That
りさん、
something happens to
見張り
him
のおまわ
before
り
he
さん、
can help
そこ
him.
にいるんだろう。全部話すよ。その代わりドクター天馬も呼んでくれないか。おまわりさん、
The officer's not there. He's dead, isn't he? He's dead. Oh shit! Oh shit! The monster
こ
is
んな時間
here.
だけど病室の方へ行っても
How
いいか
did
な。
he infiltrate the
どうぞドクター
hospital?
テンマ。何ですかそれ。
いいもの見つけたんだ。
Oh. And now he's gonna look even more suspicious because another weird instance has happened around him.
おい、どうしたしっかり。死んでる。
Candy, again.
ユンケルさん。
It's like a fucking calling card. No, the clock. He's getting rid of any witnesses.
ユンケルさん。あの時と同じだ。キャンディーによる毒殺。私の患者の失踪。9年前のあの時と一緒だ。ユンケルさん。
No one's chasing him though. That's the weird thing. Because surely he would see someone chasing him. Almost like it's all in his head, but I definitely don't think the first instance was in his head, and nor was the killing of the police officer.
ダメだ先生。しちゃダメだ。
What the fuck is happening?
こいつを見ちゃダメだ先
He'll kill you if you look at him.
生。仲間を殺したのはこいつだ。
He'll kill you if you look at him. Because you'll know his true identity.
お久しぶりですね、先生。僕ですよ。
Johan!
9年前、先生は僕の命を助けてくれたでしょ
Johan's the monster.
う。もう忘れちゃったかな。あの時の双子のことなんて。
ヨハン。
I obviously knew it. I think it was evident that it was Johan. I don't think anyone could watch this and not be like, it's Johan. Hello, shit.
何をするつもりだ。ユンケルさんは私の患者だぞ。
何って。処刑だよ。
やめろ先生、逃げるんだ。こいつに仲間殺されたんだ。俺たちこいつに雇われてたんだ。
Oh, they
いつもこい
did
つから
hire
電話が
him
かかってきた。一仕事終わると高額の報酬が振り込まれて
to unpick
仲
the
間さんに
doors
手
of
を
his
負けて、
targets.
俺が警察に目つけられたから、こいつ俺たちが邪魔になったんだ。フレッツが死ぬ間際に言ってたんだ。俺たちはモンスターに雇われたって。こいつは人を殺すことなんて何とも思っちゃいないんだ。逃げろ。
He definitely killed his parents.
逃げろ
100%.
先生。
おしゃべりだな、ユンケルスは。
君はヨハン・リーベルト、双子の兄弟の兄だ。1986年、東ドイツから亡命してきた元東ドイツ貿易局顧問ミハエル・リーベルト氏の息
If
子だ。
they were actually
こ
his
れだけの
parents.
素性が分かっていたら逃げ延びることは不可能だぞ。
ヨハンか。そういう名前の時もあ
He's
ったっ
changed his
け。
name since then, obviously.
でもそれは僕の本当の名前じゃない。
That was the name they gave to him.
僕の過去を知っちゃいけないんだ。あの4組の夫婦もリーベルト夫妻も。
They weren't his parents.
先生は僕を助けてくれた。先生は僕の親みたいなものだもん。
親、
Fuck.
私が。
だって先生がいなければ僕はここにいないんだから。
Oh, shit.
人の命を何だと思っているんだ。私は君の命を助けることで医者の本部に立ち返ることができたんだぞ。君を助けることで人の命の重さは全て平等だって気づいたんだぞ。
And you're ruining that by killing people.
私は何年間もそれを心に刻んで医者として生きてきた
Now
ん
he's
だ。
gonna question everything because of Johan. How could you not?
先生、あの事件の後すぐに外科部長になったん
Is he
だ。
gonna be like, you're welcome?
本当によかった。先生が外科部長に昇進して。
It was
何
him.
が言いたいんだ。
院長や外科部長やチーフが死んだから今の先生があるんだろう。
Yeah, because he
本
did
当に
it.
よかった。
まさか君が。
Yeah.
だって先生が言ったんじゃない。
They'd be
先
better off
生が望んだ
dead.
んじゃない。あの人たちを殺したいほど憎んでたじゃない。
僕は間違ってなんかいない。あんなやつ
He thought it was what you wanted.
死んだ方がマシだ。マシだ。マシだ。
先生の望み通りにしてあげた
I
んだよ。
knew it! You little shitbag.
怖いよ先生。先生、助けてよ先生。死にたくないよ。
Oh.
僕はあの時死んでいたはずだったんだ。先生が僕を生き返らせてくれたんだ。
He's gonna feel like he's created a monster. That if he had just let him die. Well, he's now seen his face and he's left him alive, so he's obviously gonna have numerous aliases. Where's his sister?
雨は嫌いなんですよ。事件の証拠がすっかり洗い流されてしまいますからね。あなたはどうです、ドクターテンマ。
Dr. Tenma's traumatized. How could you not be?
あなたの言ったことをまとめるとこうだ。1986年、東ドイツから亡命したリーベルトの子供に双子の
I
兄
don't
弟
think
が
it
いた。
was his
亡命直後、
parents.
リーベルト一家は銃撃を受け、両親は死亡。
But he says, no one knows about my past, not even the Lieberts. How would they not know about his past? Unless they weren't
し
actually
かし
his parents,
その
you
少年は
know?
驚いたことに、
If they were
病院の院長、
his parents,
外科
they
部
would
長
know everything
チーフの
about
3
him.
人を毒入りの
Very
キャン
odd.
ディーで殺害し逃亡。そして昨夜、彼はなんと9年ぶりに姿を
Johan
現
was the
し、
name that I
州
went
警察の
by.
警官を
So I don't
また
think
もや
Johan's his
毒
real
入りの
name.
キャンディーで殺害し、そしてあなたの目前でアドルフ・ユンケルスを射殺した。彼の名はヨハン・リーベルト。とまあ、こういうわけですな。
That's obviously not the name he's going by now. It would make it too easy to track him down after he escaped. I don't think they're gonna believe him. I think they're gonna be like,
ま
it's
さか
too
ドクター天馬
convenient.
ほどの地位のある医者があんな犯行を犯すとは思いませんものね。とりあえずヨハン・リーベルトというやつを当たってみますか。ルンゲ警部。お
Poor Tenma. Your whole philosophy of life shattered. How could it not be? God, this show is so good. I knew it was Johan. I think it was fairly evident that it was Johan. I feel like I'm not particularly smart for having guessed it so correctly, but I'm still gonna take it as a win. He said nobody knows about my past, including the Lieberts. He doesn't refer to them as his parents. So I don't think they're his parents. I don't. The fact that, again, the pattern is middle aged couples with no children, that to me is the biggest indicator that they're not his biological parents. Because if they were his biological parents, they would know everything about him. But the fact that he says that no one knows about his past, not even the Lieberts, means that they don't know everything about the children that they adopted or took in, that there's a past that even they're blind to. Where's his sister? Is another question. And he's obviously not going to go by the name Johann Lieber. Johann Lieber is connected to a prolific murder, and he also escaped the hospital. So it would be too much of a red flag to go by Johann Lieber when you're technically going to be not necessarily investigator, because he was a kid. They didn't suspect that he would be involved, but they're obviously going to want to track these two children that have suddenly disappeared. They're going to be on the lookout for them. So he's going to be going by pseudonym and likely has numerous pseudonyms, but I think he's going to change up his pattern. Now that Tenma knows that it's him, that he's the one that killed the two doctors and the director, that everything that he's gained in life is because Johan feels indebted to Tenma for saving his life, and it just completely uproots his entire philosophy that all lives are created equal. Because now he's probably wondering, should I have just let this boy die? If I knew that this boy was going to become a serial killer, if I knew that he was going to go down this path, would it have been better to have just killed him there on the surgery table to prevent so many other people dying and suffering in the process? How could he not have a complete existential crisis? I think anyone would, because, you know, this whole philosophy of, are all lives created equal, or are some lives worth more than others, is the core root of this show. And of course, we operate with this idea that all lives are created equal, but now they're presenting us with a scenario of, if you knew that by saving someone's life that they were going to cause the deaths of multiple people, would you save their life, or would you allow them to die in order to save those in the future from dying horrific deaths? It's almost like the trolley situation, where you're presented with, there's a person that you know and love, and you either kill them to save four strangers, or you kill four strangers to save the person that you love. It's this ethical dilemma that is really difficult for people to kind of answer. And this is what the show at the heart of it is about, is this ethical dilemma, because you have Tenma, who was given this new lease of life, this new motivation for his career, that it reminded him of what being a doctor truly is, that it's not about progression and academia and research. It's fundamentally about saving lives and helping people. And now he's going to be like, how can I live by that philosophy if by saving a life I've indirectly caused the deaths of so many other people, that their lives have been stolen from them because I saved this one life, because I saved this boy? How could you not feel guilt for that? And it's not his fault, it's not his responsibility. But of course, you're going to question everything that you thought you knew. you would torture yourself with this knowledge of, if I knew then what I know now, would I have acted differently? Would I have let the boy die? Or would I have still saved his life because at the time his life was just as worthy as anyone else's? I am so excited for this show and just the questions that it's going to be posing to us, because it is a very difficult question to answer. I feel like whichever way you look at it, it's a shit one. Like, do you let this boy die and save so many lives in the future, or do you operate with the Hippocratic oath of all lives are equal, and even though this boy grows up to be a monster, you decide to save him nonetheless? Because again, as I mentioned, it very much ties into the concept of the death penalty. Do you believe that some people deserve to die for the crimes that they've committed? And do you think it's okay for someone else to then take someone else's life and be absolved of murder, or are they just as guilty? And that's not me saying that they are guilty, but I feel like putting that pressure on someone to take the life of another and then absolving it as not being a crime when you're killing someone also for killing another almost seems sort of hypocritical in a sense, because how can you expect someone to take the life of someone who has been condemned for taking the life of another? It feels like a perplexing argument to make to justify. But at the same time, I can also understand why people advocate for the death penalty, that there are some crimes that are just unforgivable. But I still feel like death is an easy way out, and that criminals should be punished and punished harshly. But I think death is not the answer. I think that just eases their suffering and isn't really a punishment in a sense, because you can be on death row for years before you're actually killed, and by that time some of them see death as a mercy in comparison. I think keeping someone in prison is a more justified punishment, but prisons need to be harsher and stricter for specific crimes, but we'll not delve into that here. But it ties into this philosophical dilemma of what would you do if you were in that situation? And I think it's hard to have the answer, because obviously when Tenma makes the decision, he doesn't know this information. He's not aware that Johan's going to grow up to be a monster. He couldn't have made that call, but he's going to blame himself nonetheless. In his mind, he has created a monster, but he couldn't have known that Johan would become this. But again, it's going to come down to this. If he knew then what he knows now, would he have done things differently? And I think that's going to be what he wrestles with as the show goes on. And it's now just become a cat and mouse game. He's going to be chasing Johan, and the police are going to be chasing him because the police don't strictly believe him. And then they're going to look into this Johan, who's not going to exist. They're not going to find any evidence because he's going to use aliases. He's not going to go by Johan. And it's just going to be Tenma trying to catch Johan before he harms other people, and the police trying to catch Tenma and blaming Tenma for everything that's going on. It's insane. I'm so excited because this is only 4 episodes and I'm already hooked. I'm like, what else is going to happen? And I think Johan's going to have to change up his methods, his pattern, because it's now going to be too obvious that if another middle-aged couple ends up dying, they're going to instantly know that it's the serial killer, and Tenma's going to instantly know that it's Johan because Johan confessed, he admitted it. But Johan is not who he says he is. There is a past there, and the Lieberts were not his parents. Calling it now, 100%, there's something darker that sort of pushed him down this path, because it is nurture versus nature, and I think this is very much nurture, but I am definitely on the edge of my seat to see how this takes place, because Tenma is going to be keeping an eye out. He's going to be looking for any trace of Johan that he can find so that he can try and put a stop to him. So I think it's going to get to a point where Tenma realizes the police aren't getting anywhere. They're not getting any closer, but more and more innocent people are dying. And Tenma's like, well, I know who he is. I know his face. Maybe I'm the only one that can stop him. And it becomes less about him being a doctor and more him trying to save people from being murdered by Johan. Because, again, he understands that no one deserves to have their life unnecessarily taken. And it's still going to tie into this philosophy of all lives are created equally, because the only reason he's targeting Johan is an attempt to save people from dying. He doesn't want anyone's life to be taken from them. He believes that no one should have their life unjustly stolen, that if they're going to die, that it should be accidental or natural causes. It shouldn't be someone murdering you. But where's his sister? He stashed his sister somewhere. Oh, this is so interesting. This is such a good show. It's just so sad that he was getting the cuckoo clock and he was telling this man that, like, he can redeem himself, that he can find a way back, that he can try and find a new path forward, that not everything is as hopeless as it seems, that there is a way to atone. And it all gets stolen away from him, and it's so brutal. And he got him the cuckoo clock as well because he wanted him to know that there's a path to redemption. There's a chance to make things better by showing him and giving him something that he's always wanted since he was a kid. And even though he knew he was going to die, he was still trying to save Tenma. He's like, don't look at him, because if you look at him, you'll die. He kills everyone that looks at his face because they know who he is, because he was doing this all over the phone. But then they became suspects of the police. But how did he know that they became suspects of the police? Did they get picked up and questioned and he knew they were a liability, that the number could get traced back to him, so he had to take out all the loose ends? And then this one was the only one that saw his face because he saw him killing his assailants. But clearly he has some inside knowledge, and he's very unthreatening in appearance. He's very dashing in his looks. He is soft-spoken. He's going to be able to wheedle information out of people and get in places that he shouldn't be because of his charm. It's going to be a very interesting cat and mouse game for sure. Poor Tenma. Honestly, my heart breaks for him. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!